Welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. I am Adam Gold. Welcome to round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it there. Aluminumcompany.com, free no obligation estimate. Siding, roofing, windows, entry doors, storm doors, gutter helmets. I don't know. You want to put, we've reached the second round of the playoffs on the outside of your home. I'm sure they can figure out how to do it. Sammy Hanna's crew do a great job. Woo! How about that? All right, let's have a little fun. First, hold on. I'm hiding this. I'm not allowed to do this. Excuse me. Little victory refreshment. That may or may not have been a Highland Asheville IPA. Recommend it. So, didn't look good for 30 minutes, did it? But the Hurricanes found their way into round 2, 2-1 in overtime. Paul Stastny, the game winner. Sebastian Aho, the game-tying goal. Noticeable to me was that Rod Brind'Amour did not hesitate in praising Aho. Thought he was great in the series. And he's not the Connor McDavid. He's different. I've always said this about Aho. He is way more Nicholas Backstrom than any other superstar. But he is a complete player. I mean, just the little things that he does, for the most part, he's not always perfect. He makes his share of mistakes. But, the Islanders are getting into the offensive zone, and there's Aho with a back check, intercepting a pass and going the other way. And I'm trying to remember the sequence. It might have even been on the game-tying goal. I'd have to go back and watch that part of the game. But there weren't a lot of end-to-end rushes with entries into the offensive zone, but on the game-tying goal, Aho carried the puck from defensive zone through center ice, weaving through traffic, got inside the offensive zone, got down the middle. Puck somehow, I think he took a shot, or maybe he was trying to make a pass. Anyway, the puck carried over to Brett Pesce below the right faceoff circle, and Pesce had to win a battle just to get the puck near the net. And then goes up high in Aho. He knocks it down, backhands it in, and it's 1-1. Carolina had already been the better team in the third period. You heard Jordan Martinook. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you heard Jordan Martinook in the postgame, he said, if we just do what we did in the third period, we're going to be fine. Well, yeah, it's not that easy, but that's what they did to the Islanders in the third period. And I said this before, at the outset of the series, the Islanders had one way to play to win, one way, and that was to be extra. They had to be extra in order to win the series. Now, they weren't extra, but did manage to win Game 5. Carolina could have won Game 5 for the same price. 2 mistakes that led to the first and the third goals, and then the fluke of the puck off the face of Aho, right to Brock Nelson for the second goal. And the goaltender, Sorokin, was elite in Game 5 in Raleigh, and Ronta was just fine. Wasn't bad, but he wasn't what Sorokin was. But that's what it was going to take. And could the Islanders do that 2 more times if Carolina did what they were supposed to do and the game didn't feature extra? Because Game 5 didn't feature extra and today didn't feature extra. It was just a hockey game. It was kind of an ugly hockey game for a while, but and then Carolina got to their game in the third period, and that's when you just knew if they could just figure out a way to get this sucker to overtime or win it in regulation, they had pretty good chances. They'd be okay. Because, again, the Islanders can't skate with Carolina. They could never skate with Carolina. Doesn't mean the Islanders aren't good. I think the Islanders are a good team. That series, wow, what a well-earned best of 7 in 6 win winning 2 of 3 on the road. Wait I thought the Hurricanes couldn't win on the road. I'll have to check my notes. Yep, can't win on the road. So, top to bottom, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't even good for the first 30 minutes, but it got better. And this is where, and the Hurricanes have been on this end of it. And we're going to go through some comments here in a second. And we're going to try to keep as consistent as possible, try to keep this to around 30 minutes if we can. But the Hurricanes have been on this side of it. You dominate a game, you dominate a game, you dominate a game, and you have one. We talked about it. Getting out of the first period, just 1-0 down. That mattered. Midway through the second period, still to be just 1-0. You're thinking, my gosh, were they rope-a-doping their way through this? And in a way, they were. Not intentionally. Freddie Andersen got the start tonight. I thought he would. I thought Rod was playing a little bit of, having some fun, just being that guy. Well, I'm not going to tell you. Whatever. That's fine. But I just got the feeling that it was going to be Andersen. And it was a bit of a free hit, if you will, for Brind'Amour because in his back pocket, he knew that Raanta has been great on home ice. The team had been fine at home. Actually, the truth is that game 2 was probably their worst game of the entire series. They won at home, but not that you want to come down to a game 7 because anything can happen. And all the pressure's on the home team in a game 7 situation. Hello, Boston. But it was just the perfect spot to get Freddie in. Ranta's been playing forever, and you don't want him to break because you have two physically fragile goaltenders. I mean, we joke around that Raanta is made of paper mache. Well, Andersen, what is Andersen made of? It's like a light bulb. He breaks too. It's like a fluorescent light bulb. So it was a perfect spot to let Freddie play. It wasn't a do or die game. It wasn't an elimination game for Carolina. And I don't mean to say that, they were worried, but he hadn't played in a while. Raanta played great at the end. He played better than Freddie. He earned the net. He earned the game 1 start. Freddie didn't back up until game 5. He backed up game 5, and then, boom, time to jump in. And we could debate the first goal all day long. I don't think it was a bad goal. Didn't think it was a great goal, but it wasn't a bad goal. It wasn't the last goal. Isn't that kind of irony's not the word? Maybe irony is irony the right word there? I mean, Sorokin, who had been dynamite in the last 6 periods until the goal. I mean, that's just a terrible goal to allow. It's one of the goals. If Raanta or Andersen allows that goal in an elimination game, I mean, they're skewered. But Sorokin, man, he held the Islanders in it, but ultimately the Islanders' offense got swallowed whole by Carolina's puck possession and defense. Took Carolina a while to get to their defensive game. It was that first period was a mess. Oh, what a mess. Burns wasn't good in the first. Slavin wasn't good in the first. Pesce wasn't good in the first. Shea was. I mean, none of them. It was a mess in the first period. Shea and Pesce particularly struggled in period 1. The goal that was allowed was thanks to a bad line change. That pair was on the ice. Trying to remember I think it was the fourth line was also, I think it was the fourth, I don't remember, was also out there. They were out there too long. They couldn't get off the ice. And then the puck went out to center and they all bailed. Actually, I think Shea might have stayed on for the goal, but wasn't deep enough to get off for icing. And boom, there's Cal Clutterbuck making it 1-0. Islanders' identity line does damage, whether it's Cizikas or Clutterbuck or Martin. And Matt Martin was super silent today. But I guess to circle back to the initial point, which is the Islanders had one way to beat Carolina, and that was to be overly physical. And once that stopped, and I believe it stopped on the Nature's power play goal to make it 2-0 in game 4. When that power play goal went in, the Islanders extra. It wasn't like they weren't being physical. The Islanders extra stuff ended. And at that point, it simply became hockey. Carolina, very happy to play hockey against the Islanders. So part of what we saw over the last 2+ games was the fact that Carolina's power play did enough, and that's all it's got to do enough. And the other team can't afford to take stupid penalties. The funny thing is that the Islanders took 25. The Hurricanes had 25 power plays in the first in the series. They had only 2 today. I think did they have 3 in the last game? So there were a lot of power plays in the first few games. And that's where Carolina scored all of their power play goals. They didn't score a power play goal in game 5, didn't score a power play goal in game 6. Matter of fact, didn't have a power play after the second period. After the first period. Had 2 power plays in the first period, and one of them was 30 seconds. So really, just 2.5 minutes of power play time tonight. Power play wasn't good, but it really didn't have a chance to be good. But that's where we are. Special teams, right? Hurricanes 17 for 18 on the penalty kill, 5 out of 25 on the power play. Hey, I know it's going to sound, because 20% isn't great. I'll take 20% right. Would you take 20%? I'll ask the question to the masses. You're out there smashing the like button at every turn. Would you take 20% success on the power play right now? Would you? I would. 20% is good enough. If your penalty kill stays the way it is, and it doesn't have to be, at 94.5% or whatever 17 of 18 is. It doesn't have to be there. But if your penalty kill is good, I'll take 20% success rate on the power play. That'll give Carolina a chance. They got good goaltending tonight and Freddie Anderson. They didn't give up a power play goal, so they didn't lose special teams, and that's my goal. Don't lose special teams. Play it as much at 5-on-5 as you can. That plays into Carolina's game, and eventually played into Carolina's game tonight. All right. I'm going to go through a couple of questions because there's a lot piling up. And then we'll go through some numbers from the game and some numbers from the series. So let me lean forward. And by the way, the answer to that question is, for the most part, all day. David, Charlie, Josh, I'll take 20% all day. Doug, hyena? Unbelievable. Yes, everybody's taking 20% on the power play. By the way, welcome to Studio BIP. From Paul, Stasny scored the goal, but Derek Stepan made the huge effort play to keep the puck in. Yes. Hey, you know me. I've been team Derek Stepan from Jump Street. I love that guy. He hasn't had a great year. He hasn't scored since I had hair this year. Spoiler, I haven't had hair this year. He has scored a goal, but it's been a minute since Derek Stepan has scored. But he did make a huge play to keep that puck in and get it to Stasny down low along the wall, and the rest is a terrible goal. Could you imagine if we had allowed? I already said that. But yeah, Derek made a great play, and Stasny, who has obviously some overtime goal scoring horseshoes in his shorts somehow got that puck through Ilya Sorokin. Apparently David enjoyed the same thing I'm enjoying. Hold on. I'm calling my second timeout. I apologize. You're not supposed to see that. I don't know if it's against the rules or not. I think it's against company policy. So don't tell anybody. So there you go. Wait, we have afternoon from Australia? Are you joking? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the game. We have Caniacs in Australia down under. I'm not even going to do any cliche Australian jokes. Although, Paul Hogan going, now that's a knife. I like that. That's my favorite thing from Australia. All right. A couple of things we'll go back to some comments in a minute here. Sometimes it's hard. They back up and then I end up scrolling through them. So let's start with, we'll try to do a 3 stars of the series. And I do want to just spend a second about some players tonight that I thought were really good that didn't get stars for me. I thought Jesperi Kotkaniemi was outstanding tonight. And I think he got a little bit of a glimpse of the future of Carolina tonight, honestly. Because we're not that far away from the captain playing a very limited role, right? He's going to be 34 years old, or maybe he already is 34 years old. He's played a ton of hockey in his career. He's never been the fleetest of foot to begin with. He's just an elite defensive player. But at some point, he's going to become just, a 10-minute-a-game guy on your fourth line, doing what Paul Stastny's doing, right? And I do believe that Jesperi Kotkaniemi is that guy, is the next, top defensive center on this team. And somebody who can play a heavier game. And maybe he's got some offensive upside that we haven't really seen a lot, but I thought he was awesome tonight. And an underrated move by Rod Brind'Amour was flipping Stahl and Kotkaniemi and putting Kotkaniemi with Martinook and Fost and putting Stahl with Necas and Nason. And it got, I don't know how much Stahl, Necas, and Nason got going, but they didn't get lost. But I thought Kotkaniemi, Fost, and Martinook were dynamite as a trio. So I wanted to give a little shout out to Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who had just 1 point in the series, but I think he played a big role in tonight's game. And look, I know Paul Stastny scored 3 goals, and he scored 3 big goals. He scored the first goal in the series, the play from Jacob Slavin from basically the spot where he scored the goal tonight. It was Slavin's shot to Stastny in front. He scored a goal. Was it game 4? Game 3 or 4. I'm not sure it came in a win. But he scored another goal right out in front with a tip. And then he scores this one tonight. So Stastny was excellent in the series, but he was one of those guys that he's sort of like Robert Horry. Right? Robert Horry, big shot Bob for the Rockets and the Lakers, and who else did he play for? Spurs. He winning 6 championship rings. He was never the best player. Nobody's saying that Robert Horry is one of the best players that ever played because he's got 6 championship rings, because they know he was just a role player on that team. And that's what Paul Stastny is here. But boy, did he come through. Big goals. Obviously, the overtime game winner, series ender is a big goal. But, there were times this year where I thought Paul Stastny should have been waived for the purpose of giving him his release, letting him go elsewhere. I mean, they're not going to say it. I don't think he was happy here after the first month and a half of the season. He didn't understand why this team practiced the way they did, why they played this way, why they did certain things the way they did. It's all a means to an end for Rod Brind'Amour. All the conditioning, all the attention to detail, all the stuff after the games and after the workouts that help them finish their day and get them into a place where you're playing the Islanders on the road in game 6 with limited personnel, and you look fresher than them. They really don't have missing pieces, right? They got Matt Barzal back. They had Brock Nelson on the ice and Kyle Palmieri, who missed a good chunk of the season, but they had these guys back. Hurricanes, no Max Pacioretty, no Andrei Svechnikov, no Teuvo Teravainen. You're talking about 3 of your top 5 forwards. You don't have them. And this team had goal scoring issues before all those guys went out. But they just play a certain way. And so I just wanted to, there are other players. I thought after the first period, I thought everybody settled down. I thought Pesce and Shea were better after the first. I thought Slavin and Burns were much better after the first. And I thought they got plenty out of Chatfield and Gostisbehere on the third pair. And that's maybe the unsung part of what Carolina can do this year, is that they don't have to panic when Chatfield and Gostisbehere are on the ice, because they're both such incredible skaters. Now, there were some puck management foibles, but nothing that cost them goals. Even Natchez made a couple of questionable decisions with the puck today, but it didn't cost them. So they got away with a couple of things. You don't pay for every mistake. Certainly the Islanders didn't pay for every mistake today. Hurricanes paid for one, right? The Hurricanes, the Islander goal came on a Hurricanes mistake. They couldn't get the puck deep enough to execute a line change. Tried to make a line change anyway. Here's Cal Clutterbuck right in front of Freddie Anderson with the puck. So they didn't have to be perfect today. You don't have to be perfect. And that is, I guess, the misconception. Now, you may have to be better against the Devils or a Rangers team in the next round, and hopefully they'll play 1,000 overtimes in games 6 and 7, and they'll be exhausted and maybe decide, you know what, we don't even want to come to Raleigh. Probably won't happen. But I thought if Carolina could just minimize the mistakes, you're not going to be mistake-free. Minimize them, and then have your goaltenders bail you out enough. And I thought, for the most part, that's what Freddie Anderson did tonight. There weren't a ton of great saves. There were some. The sequence where Kokiniemi he beats Sorokin but hits the crossbar. Oh, God. And then I think it's Zizekas at the other end, in an odd man chance or a transition chance, maybe not odd man. And Anderson has to come over and make a pretty good save, keeping his blocker arm tight to the body so the puck doesn't slip through. There was Freddie had to make some nice saves. Nothing spectacular, but he had to make some nice saves tonight. And the Hurricanes generally make it relatively easy on their goaltender, but in the first period and a half, really, it wasn't easy. Freddie had to do a lot of work, and he did a lot of it, and a lot of good work to keep it at a 1-goal game. And in the end, that's probably why Carolina is sleeping very soundly on a plane back to Raleigh, and will have, my guess is, 2 days off, tomorrow and Sunday. And they'll figure out, the only way they'll practice Sunday is if the Devils and Rangers have the series end tomorrow and the series starts Monday. The series could start Monday, I guess. I think more than likely it starts Tuesday or Wednesday. But let's root for the Devils and Rangers to play a 7th game, because that would be fun to watch. But if I mentioned that Boston and Florida are playing a 7th game. So let's just go through 3 stars of the game, 3 stars of the series. I went Aho 3, Anderson 2, Stastny 1. I don't generally do, hey, you scored the game-winning goal, therefore you get the first star. I always say, who are the best players in the game? But make a special, a special exception for the overtime game winner. Sebastian Aho was the best player for the Hurricanes in this series. He was he wasn't great every game. And even the games he was really good, he wasn't great every period. But man, he was great today, and he was really good, even though they lost. He was really good in Game 5, and he was exceptional in Game 4. And you could tell I know how shorthanded we are, and I'm going to do everything I can. And it's cool when he's not trying to do too much. Trip Tracy likes to use the phrase, do less better. And it is a great way to look at it. Don't try to do too much. Do what you do it at an elite level. When Aho does that, all of the other stuff just happens for him. I thought Seth Jarvis played a really good series. Nice to see. I mean, there weren't a lot of guys who played a poor series. There's one. We'll just leave him alone. Okay. 88 will get there. 88 will get there. It's just kind of has to calm down because he's too amped up. He's trying to score for two people. Andre's not coming back, Marty. Just chill out. Aho's fourth goal. He played 21 minutes and 12 seconds tonight. Jarvis led all forwards in ice time, 21-38. Seth Jarvis. I mean, the kid hasn't scored a ton. He does have 2 goals. He had 2 goals in the game, the Game 4 win. But I thought Seth played really, really well again tonight. So, shouts to him. Seth was great in the series. Jordan Martinook would get, I think the stars of the series would be first star Aho. I honestly don't know if Jordan Martinook might be my second star of the series. I thought Martinook was great. Or Stahl. Jesper Fast was great. I mean, so many guys were good. Yeah, we'll make Jesper Fast the second star of the series, just for the other overtime winner, right? I mean, Carolina didn't play well in that game, and they got a win because Jesper Fast scored the overtime game winner and a nasty, nasty snipe far posted in. And we'll say Brent Burns was the third star of the series. Maybe he's second and Jesper Fast is third star. Burns was great, especially early in the series. But even in this game, Burns did a ton. And some of the moves that he makes are just incredible. The penalty kill, 17 out of 18 for the series. Power play, 5 out of 25. Trey, funny that the Canes played better in Game 5 and lost. Played pretty terrible for 2/3 of the game today and won. I don't think they played terrible for 2/3 of the game because I actually think that you could see it turning in the second period. I thought at the midway point of the second period, you could sense the game flipping to the way Carolina wanted to play. But even within the last 10 minutes, because they had to kill a power play, even within that period, the Islanders had good moments. So, but I think Carolina had already started to get to their game. So it wasn't quite 2/3. I thought Carolina was starting to get better. They were starting to, as Tripp would say, build a game. How great was it that 2 fourth-line guys that have been in and out of the lineup teamed up to get the overtime game-winning goal from Charlie? How good was it? Very. I mean, but isn't that what this team is about? Right? All right, so because we could just sit here and gloat and beam because the Hurricanes are in the second round of the playoffs for the 5th straight year. Although, not sure how they're treating the bubble, right? So because technically they didn't win a play. Well, I guess they did. They're calling it a playoff series. HockeyReference.com listed as a playoff series, best of 3, best of 5. They lost the quarterfinal series to Boston that year. So the Hurricanes are into the conference semifinals for the 4th time in 5 years under Rod Brindamore. Essentially, they have made the Elite Eight of the NHL for the fourth time in 5 years, which is, I don't think we should ever get to a point where we don't appreciate that. But let me just say this about the next round of the playoffs. And I've said this before. I don't believe Carolina will be favored over either the Devils or the Rangers. Whoever emerges from that series, I think will be a slight favorite over Carolina. I think the Rangers will be a bigger favorite than the Devils will be. I don't think Carolina will have an easy time with either. And again, I think they'll be the underdog. I don't really have a preference. I think New Jersey might score, 30 goals in the series. They're awesome. But I also think they might give up a bunch of goals, even to us. So I don't think New Jersey's goaltending is as good as the Rangers. That is a No Crap the Magazine exclusive. But I do believe that if you were saying you have to choose which of these two teams, and I think Carolina, again, will be underdogs to both. I'd rather see the Devils because I think their goaltending will have more of a tendency to be beaten by Carolina than Igor Shesterkin. So that's why again, I ain't choosing anybody. The Devils could sweep Carolina. They are lethal offensively. But I'll just choose to go against the lesser goalie, whether it's this kid Schmidt or Vitek Vanacek. Take my chances there. And they're probably saying the exact same thing about Carolina. But let me just say this big picture about the upcoming series, not about favorite or anything like that. It's a little bit of, this is the way I'm looking at it. They won a round. They're probably not going to have great high expectations. It'll be clear that the national TV audience will be rooting against them. And oh, by the way, the rest of the way, no Bally's. So no Tripp, no Mike, no Shane, no Hannah. And so all of you, to an extent, you'll be right, can just imagine or think that the national media is rooting for the Devils or the Rangers. I think it's going to make the next round even more fun. And I'm here to tell you that Carolina can play a mucky, dirty, grindy game, not dirty in the physical sense, but just scrappy game, and they can make it work. So I am not sitting here saying they can't beat this team. They can't beat the Devils. They can't beat the Rangers. Nope, they can. Not going to be easy, but they can. Will they? I'm not making predictions on this. I want them to win the series. I think they can. And I think it'll be even more sweet if this particular group managed to scrap their way into the next round. I've talked about this before. In a strange way, the exact same style of team that got to the conference finals in 2019 and lost to the Bruins in 4. The exact style of that team is how this team is built to play. It's not a ton of goal scoring talent. Right now, you basically have Aho and Stasny. So, but that's how they're going to have to play. Just keep yourself in it, get a break, let your star do some work, take your chances, and get good goaltending. And they got great goaltending today. Frederik Andersen was really good. First playoff series win for Andersen since May 10th of 2015 with Anaheim. Hold on. Let me count up all of Toronto's series wins. Yeah, none. And oh, by the way, how lemon booty-ish is it in Toronto? Oh, you lost game 5, game 6 tomorrow in Tampa. That series could be going to game 7 in on what? Monday. I mean, we already have one game 7, Boston and Florida in game 7. We could have 2 more. We could have 1 Sunday and 2 on Monday. Gosh, and those are both in the East. Could have 2 game 7s going on at the same time. Gosh, that would be amazing. Let's see if there's another couple of questions we can get to. I'm already over time here. Stastny, Aho, and Burns stars for Josh. What did I say? I said Aho. I didn't. Stastny's not one of my stars. I know he scored 3 goals. Burns, I don't even remember. I think no. I think I went Jesper Fast. I thought Fast, Martinook, Stahl, all completely outstanding. All right, let's do a quick wrap here, and then we'll get out of here. Just incredibly impressed on how the team works. And I'm not talking about the mechanisms of the team, but just how hard they work. There is, how many people heard what Rick Bowness, the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, had to say after they got eliminated by the Vegas Golden Knights? Like he said he couldn't understand why there was no pushback. Vegas scored early and there was just no response. You're down in the series 3-1. You're on the road. The other team scores early. There's got to be some fight. There's got to be some level of desperation. And Bonus just didn't find it. He didn't see it. There's like no chance that would happen with this team. No chance. They're going to play to the final whistle. You can count on one hand in 5 years that Rod's been the head coach that the team has not given maximum effort. Maybe it has made their regular seasons better as a result of that, which has made some of the postseasons seem in some ways more disappointing. I understand why you would think that. But man, there's just no give up at all without those 3 scorers, those 3 offensive players. They just keep coming. And again, I could not be more impressed with Seth Jarvis. Mackenzie McEachern, last 2 games, he really looks like somebody who probably should be in the American Hockey League. But he's a big body and he's a good skater, and there's a place for him on the roster. Might not be on the top line. I actually think Jesse Puljujarvi might be a better fit there. See how Rod Brindamore plays it. They have won 2 of the 3 games, essentially, when McEachern has played with Aho and Jarvis. But look, they're not getting any healthier. Tavo's not coming back. I mean, maybe Tavo will be back if the Hurricanes are playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, which I ain't putting it past them, but it's hard to imagine it. Anyway, I'm just impressed by the way they work. And I know a lot of people complain about it. I'm not going to poke anybody for complaining about it. There was a lot of it out there tonight. But they just managed to hang around. And the rope-a-dope worked tonight. They hung around, and the Islanders maybe let them hang around. And eventually, the Hurricanes bit back. Tied the game with Aho. Won it with Stastny. And Freddie Anderson was really good. So, good for Freddie. Good for that group. Excuse me, bug. Now the Hurricanes can sit around for a couple of days and kind of watch and see what happens. But the East is going to be full of game 7s, maybe. We already have one. The West will likely be full of game 7s as well. And if you will allow, Avalanche with a 3-1 lead after 2 in Seattle. That would be a bummer for the Kraken. And the Stars look like they're going to put the Wild away in 6 in Minnesota, 7:50 to go there. And the Stars have a 3-0 lead. So we could be heading to a Game 7 in Denver. Hey, Kraken have won 2 games there. Far be it from me to say that they can't win a Game 7 in Denver. So playoffs have been pretty good, haven't they? All right. We'll just close it up here. Hurricanes win. Round 2 is here or coming. And I'll see everybody at the rink. And I cannot wait for Sunday off. You guys should take Sunday off too. All right, that's it. For the aluminum company of my gosh, excuse me. Hold on. I need to protect the brand. For the aluminum company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the aluminum company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. This might have been the worst episode of the podcast I've ever done. I don't think I strung 3 thoughts together. Thank you for putting up with any of it. We probably should have just gone down all sorts of players who played well, but I don't know what we did. But whatever we did it for like 40 minutes. So I apologize. I'll be better in the second round. The second round of the playoffs is always my best round of the playoffs anyway. So on Hamlin Road in Durham, free no obligation estimate at aluminumcompany.com. You can follow the Canes Corner podcast wherever you get your podcast and let us know what you think. The reviews help. The other people like the reviews. They send them to me. I don't read them. So be kind, if you will. Smash the like button, but be kind to your like button. Because why not? And that's that. And I'll see you guys whenever the Hurricanes play again. And we'll talk about it then after that game on the morning after podcast.